Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
At Maconi Setup Shop, we offer custom-built setups for any asphalt oval car. Prices starting at just $5. Weekly setups available for all Legends, late models, modifieds, and NASCAR trucks, Xfinity, and Cup cars. Do you need one-on-one driver coaching? We've got you covered. Visit www.McConeySetupShop.com and find yourself in Victory Lane. Maconi Setup Shop, handling all your setup needs so you don't have to.
Richmond Raceway, located in Richmond, Virginia, began life as a half-mile dirt oval on the local fairgrounds and now stands on the yearly NASCAR schedule as one of the most highly regarded and looked forward to racetracks of the year. Despite having virtually been here just weeks ago with the Bluegrass iRacing series, we at Pit Stop TV are also looking forward to this open setup brawl, once again at Richmond's 3/4 mile D-shaped oval. Welcome, race fans, to Pit Stop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter tonight. Emerson Ardon with me in the booth. Trey Shuttlesworth with social media coverage. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is Pit Stop TV's live coverage of a Setup Shop showdown as the Maconi Setup Shop takes on Rocket Racing Setups. We join you tonight from the virtual Richmond, Virginia. And Emerson, glad to have you here. Glad to have Trey with us as well. It's shaping up to be a pretty interesting 150 laps ahead. We've got about 11 cars, maybe 12 by the time we get things going, getting ready to go at it from each respective group. We've got the Maconi Setup Shop. We've got the Rocket Racing Setups group. I've said it a million times this week getting ready for this race, but I completely forgot what they're both called for a second. But we have Richard Murtaugh in attendance at the number 33. Of course, Rocket Racing Setups Chevrolet. We also have Jeffrey Mcconey out there. He's currently on track in the Maconi Setup Shop, number 24. Emerson, it's shaping up to be a good one. We finally bring some open setup NASCAR racing back to Pit Stop TV.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued. I'm very interested to see how much different this is going to differ from like the Bluegrass race. Obviously, the big difference is a much like a smaller field size here. We have 10 or 11 entrants today, and that should mean with these both highly respective setup shops, hopefully it should be a clean 150 lap sprint race, I guess you would say, here at Richmond.
It's going to feel, I think, a bit like a sprint race because I think we're going to knock a lot of these laps out of the way pretty quickly. Just a contrast to the Bluegrass race we had here not so long ago. Of course, like you said, in comparison to the Galaxy Cup series so many months back that we had here on Pit Stop TV, a much smaller field count. Also, 50 fewer laps than Bluegrass ran, so we're going to be kind of shortening the race just a little bit, and of course we've got a much smaller field that should give us fewer incidents. Ideally, of course, it's Richmond though, it's short track racing, as Denny Hamlin might say, and we are ready to do it once again. I love being able to come back and revisit some good short track grassroots racing here on Pit Stop TV. We do a lot of road racing, a lot of big oval stuff, everything in between, but it's always nice to come back to a short track in some way, shape, and form, and to do it with no points on the line, just all bragging rights, is pretty nice.
I'll say, I mean, this is going to be a fun race. This track is definitely a challenge for drivers. I mean, you get on track, especially if maybe you're not entirely used to the setup. Maybe you think you don't have to brake as much as you do because the banking will help, the car kind of carry speed through the corners, but you'll quickly find out that you need to use a lot of brake. I mean, it is a short track, so I guess you would expect that, but just running around, even kind of coasting around, you think you can just kind of ride around. But again, these setups, they're also perfected to each driver's driving style, so hopefully, they can either brake or coast as much as they'd like. When the tires get older, you'll definitely have to use brake for sure. It's just a difficult track because of the banking. You can maybe run a little bit higher and get a speed on these straightaways, especially that front stretch is a little bit longer. Meanwhile, if you use that inside lane, that's the shortest way around. It could be faster depending on how your car is set up, of course.
David Lamb goes by Mcconey, and Jeffrey Mcconey gives him a shot in the shorts right there. These guys practicing, trying to nail their setups down, get everything dialed in. We're on board with Jeffrey Mcconey, of course. He goes by Crichton, one of his teammates, and Tyler Payne up ahead in the number 18. In fact, let's jump up to Tyler Payne's machine on the bottom side of the racetrack, and we will follow along with him as he gets up to speed here at Richmond. The other big difference from the previous races we've had here on Pit Stop TV, I don't think we've ever had a Richmond day race. We've only had Richmond night races, and the track is completely different during the day. It gets hot, it gets slick, it gets kind of sticky in some ways. It really changes a whole lot more, and much more of the track opens up. When you have a night race here at Charlotte, of course, at Richmond rather, of course, the groove is going to move around a little bit. You might be able to run up a lane higher, but for the most part, you want to be down on the bottom. By the end of this race, or at least by the end of a long run, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys are running up above that bottom set of hash marks and are really starting to experiment, trying to find the grip and trying to move around. I think Trey said it best in our pre-race talking, if you will, that there might be some comers and goers in this race. We only have 10, 11 vehicles here this evening, but I think we're going to see them mix around, and of course, we're expecting probably about a half 50-50 split of setups being tailored one way or another, but they're all still trying to find what's going to work for them, as you said, as well.
Yeah, I think what you just described these track conditions to be, it's going to make it fun for especially, I think, drivers who maybe prevail a little bit more on dirt. That, I think, and yeah, for those who prevail on dirt, you see here the weather, the track temp 102 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty hot. These cars are going to be sliding around in these corners, and it's going to be kind of hard to control, which will also lead, you know, to maybe the high side being the preferred line, at least, you know, to keep the tires under you. You have less of a chance to lose control, maybe keeping more speed on that outside lane. So we'll see what lane prevails early, and of course, you know, as the race will go on, the track temp will change, and we might see this become a single group track. We might not. But I guess that's part of the fun of it.
Now on board with David Lamb as he gets some laps here in during our practice session in the very much star-spangled number 09 Raise Energy on the quarter panels. He's going to ditch that practice run, and we'll catch up with some other drivers on the racetrack. Boyd Hogan going for a spin right now in the Abruzzi Raceway, number 96. We've got Richard Murtaugh finally coming back on the racetrack. We'll see how he can do in his number 33. He's going to be scored this evening on our scoring ticker as the number 2, but he is in the number 33. Connor Crichton, of course, a pretty popular streamer these days in the number 78. Glad to have him as well with his Corn Dog Army, of course, displayed on that deck lid, an army of 2 currently. We've got some other drivers out here. I mentioned Jeffrey Mcconey. We've got Ken Zeems in the number 40. We've got Kenny Zeems, assuming a brother, son, something, maybe even the father of the 2, in the number 15, who just went back off of the racetrack. So several drivers here getting ready to go back at it. Max Cookson as well. I'm not sure when the last time he was on the racetrack was, but it's actually been a while that he's been sitting in the top spot, just sitting in the pits, soaking it up.
Yeah, you'll notice that a lot of these drivers are, you know, losing control out of these corners, and I really don't fear that that'll have really much of a carryover to the racing. These are just drivers trying to find the limits of their setups, and I think that's going to be huge. You see the 18, what a beautiful pit entry. Oh no, never mind, he locks it up, but he did. That was a beautiful transition.
You know, he saved it, I think, but it wasn't very good. He almost knocked down that pit entry barrier, or the pit entry barriers right there. I'm trying to think. Barrels, that's what I'm looking for. He almost completely knocked those out. Meanwhile, I was pretty caught up there at the 15 of Kenny Zeems getting real sideways on corner exit out of turn number 2. You mentioned these guys are going to be a bit loose. Richmond is already a bit loose on corner exit, but especially when they're able to open these setups up and during the day, I think these guys are going to be drifting out of the corners. But of course, they can adjust for these cars as well, so they can try and take some of that looseness out if they feel like it's hurting them, whereas in a fixed setup, you only have your right foot to control that.
Yeah, it'll be, I think, interesting to see how many people keep it off the wall on these corner exits too, because if you're loose, maybe you're trying to drive it off the corner, the next thing you know, you're heading straight for that outside wall, trying to keep the car straight. And then you kind of have the decision: do you hit the wall, or do you jerk the wheel to the left and hopefully don't spin out? As well, speak of that one, there's the 33 of Murtaugh, and he'll reset, get another car. We got 4 minutes left in practice, and then these guys will get off to their qualifying session. They'll have 2 hot laps around a hot track.
Yeah, hot laps for sure. That said, looking back at the weather, it's actually a bit cooler than I thought it would be. I figured we'd be up in the 80s air temp and somewhere around 110 track temp or higher. That said, of course, we have a bit of a lower car count, as we've mentioned a few different times, so that's not heating the track up quite as much. So we may actually raise that track temp up, though, during the race, and it could get even more hot and slick. Of course, you can follow along with all of our races these days over on social media, be it on Facebook, Twitter, whatever works for you. You can follow what Trey Shuttlesworth is currently doing, taking a bunch of beautiful pictures and tweeting them, trying to tag some nice social media pages, be it Rocket Racing Setups and Maconi Setup Shop Tour, or Setup Shop rather, this evening. Go ahead and give him a like, give him a nice little confidence boost, hopefully, as he's putting his heart and soul into those pictures. They always look pretty nicely. So you can follow us at facebook.com/pitstoptv. You can also follow us on Twitter at pitstoptv_. Before we get into qualifying here, Emerson, I want to quickly tell you and everybody else about some of our partners as well here at Pit Stop TV. We're going to start off with the Maconi Setup Shop. The Maconi Setup Shop is your home for iRacing asphalt oval setups. With everything from the legends to the Cup cars, we've got you covered. Head on over to www.McConeySetupShop.com today. You can't beat the best, so don't settle for the rest. Rocket Racing Setups, rather, have been a part of iRacing since 2017, but in 2018 they stopped doing just dirt setups and started getting into asphalt. Be it producing setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, road and rallycross. They currently have 5 pro-level drivers working for them, building setup packs for their customers and doing custom services such as coaching. I can't talk today. I don't know why I'm trying. Booklets and much more. Go to RocketRacingSetups.com for more info. I'll try and reel it in here. Get back to actually getting words out of my face real quick. Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. You provide the image you want, and we'll custom create a beautiful, high-quality framed canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional information. We also want to talk about and thank Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. And when it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. At Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Bollier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. You can contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. If you're looking for the best solutions for your permanent makeup concerns, give them a call today to book a consultation. So Emerson, as we get back and get ready for qualifying here, watching Richard Murtaugh, the anchor, I think the creator, of course, of Rocket Setups, the Rocket Racing Setups page and shop, I'm excited. I'm ready to see these guys actually go at it and be able to adjust throughout the race. It's something we don't usually get, as I've covered a couple of times already. We don't usually get that with the fixed setup racing we usually cover. So being able to watch these guys and think about the changes they might make on their pit stops, be it during green flag conditions or cautions, that's going to add a new element. Usually it's just, are they going to take 2? Are they going to take 4? How much fuel are they going to take? But now they actually get to make some spring adjustments.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what is going to be the advantages and disadvantages of maybe each setup or each setup group. Maybe one group will be better on the short run as compared to the long run, or one group will be able to roll the high side better than maybe the low side. And I mean, we'll see here. In qualifying, most of these drivers will try to use the shortest way around and try to see what kind of a laps they can set. Looks like we had a lot of Rocket guys towards the top of the charts. We'll see if any of the Mcconey guys can get up there and mix it up.
Yeah, I mean, I know of the Rocket Racing Setup Shop from dirt racing, so I'm kind of surprised that they're kind of running the show right now. I thought Mcconey would be all over it, especially on a short track this evening, again at Richmond Raceway in Richmond, Virginia. We're so glad to have you all here. Very glad to have Emerson Ardong alongside myself, Andrew Cardinale IV. We've got Trey Shuttlesworth on social media coverage, ready to get back at it. We've got 5 minutes of qualifying ahead, and not a single driver has made it onto the track yet for qualifying. We're already 40 seconds into the session. Not a single driver wants to get out there. It looks like, I say that actually, and then I recall, when I registered for this session, I made one fatal error, Emerson. You know what that was?
Yeah, that was signing up as a driver, and I think iRacing limits who you can spectate.
Yep, that's correct. So we're going to step aside then here for qualifying, and we'll be right back with who's fast, who's not, and, well, Tyler Payne, the first one to get a lap in. So we'll be right back to you here, Pit Stop TV, and we will have the back end of qualifying coverage for you.
At Maconi Setup Shop, we offer custom-built setups for any asphalt oval car. Prices starting at just $5. Weekly setups available for all Legends, late models, modifieds, and NASCAR trucks, Xfinity, and Cup cars. Do you need one-on-one driver coaching? We've got you covered. Visit www.McConeySetupShop.com and find yourself in Victory Lane. Maconi Setup Shop, handling all your setup needs so you don't have to.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
We welcome you back to Pit Stop TV. Thanks for staying with us, and we've got about 20 seconds left here in qualifying, and the times are, for the most part, in. We might have a few come in last minute. We'll throw up the ticker on the left side of your screen real quick so you can kind of see who's up top and, well, who's down towards the bottom. Max Cookson right now on pole position. Boyd Hogan to his outside. It's David Lamb back there in third. Sam King currently would start fourth, and it looks like it's going to end that way. You see Crichton rounding up the top five. So, Emerson, I'll just turn it right over to you with our top 10 here on the grid.
Yeah, looks like, of course, Cookson on pole and Boyd Hogan second. We'll fall back to row number 2, and it'll be David Lamb third and Sam King fourth. Row number 3, we'll have Connor Crichton and Tyler Payne. Row 4, we'll have Cale Gale and Ken Zeems. Row number 5, we'll have Jeff Mcconey and Kenny Zeems. In row 6, we'll have Richard Murtaugh and Greg Mcconey.
So during qualifying, Cale Gale joined the party, made it a 12-car show, and That's going to spice things up a little bit, giving us that 12th car, and of course being Cale Gale, he still runs late model stuff all over the country, and so that's going to change things up just a little bit. Looking forward to seeing how that goes, and based on the paint scheme on that, we're going to guess that he's Rocket. It's a little hard to tell. I believe Rocket is associated with Bobby Dale Esports, and being that they're with Boyd Hogan, I would assume so. Say Bobby Dale Esports, Bobby Dale Earnhardt Esports, my bad. So, we get ready to roll off the grid here, Emerson. I'm just going to put you in the hot seat. Who are you taking? Who, if you had to bet on this race, who would you take for the win right now before we even get going on these pace laps?
Are we talking driver or setup group? Because if we're going to go driver, I'm going to go with Cookson. He was top of the charts in practice, and he waited, strategically towards the end of qualifying to get up there, set a time, and it put him on pole. I mean, he looks pretty hot right now. Now, can he, keep it mistake-free, keep it up front for 150 laps is a different story, but I like my chances with Cookson.
Fair enough. Max Cookson, a solid pick. He's rather good on these short tracks here on iRacing, and even in real life as well up in the Northeast. Looking forward to see how he does. If I had to pick anybody out of this race myself, since you took Max Cookson, I'm going to look around. Honestly, as far as setup preference, setup speed, I suppose, I think I might go with Boyd Hogan in the number 96 to his outside, actually starting second. It has nothing to do with him qualifying second either. But I would also look towards about 5th spot. Connor Crichton, I've raced him in a few A-fixed races, and I know sometimes he can be pretty good, and he can muscle his way when he needs to up to the front of the field. Tyler Payne, not so shabby himself. We know him, of course, from the Maconi Setup Shop Summer Tour in those Legends cars this past summer, and well, he's going to be rolling off what's about 6th spot, it looks like, so he fell down a little ways after turning the first time, but still a pretty darn good starting spot in the top half at the very least.
For sure, and I want to see how David Lamb does. He's been kind of all over the track in practice, but it's so hard to miss that red, white, and blue scheme. And up here in third, he could spice things up, especially on this start. It'd be interesting to see what the 09 can do.
It's a small field of 12 getting ready to go at it for 150 laps at Richmond Raceway. It's the Maconi Setup Shop versus Rocket Racing Setups here on Pit Stop TV. Thanks for joining us this evening. We are ready to go for 150 laps around this 3/4 mile D-shaped oval in Richmond, Virginia. Emerson, once again, glad to have you here. It's Max Cookson on pole. 12 cars getting ready to go short track racing, waiting for the signal from the start of the green flag flies, and we're at it at Richmond.
Looks like Cookson's already going to get cleared to the race lead entering turn number 1. We'll see how hard Boyd pushes the issue down here into 1. Everybody singles it out in the top 4. Looks like Cale Gale looking to work his way to the inside of the 78 back there, trying to secure P5. He'll dive into turn 3, and he will secure that spot. Crichton will file into line in 6th.
So Cale Gale making a quick move. He's up to P5, as you mentioned. Max Cookson leads lap number 1. Boyd Hogan tucked in behind that number 39 Ford Mustang. One of the only Toyota in the field currently running third, so plenty of manufacturer parity amongst the top 3, but not so through the rest of the field. Hogan's starting to gain on Cookson through lap number 2, and he's almost to the back end of that number 39.
You see Cookson goes fastest there, but Hogan kind of just riding in his tire tracks. Maybe he can learn a little something. He has speed. Obviously, he qualified second, but not enough to get pole. Maybe he can learn from Cookson right here. Just kind of following his tire tracks, maybe piling the pressure. It's too early to really make any, aggressive moves, but just riding right there, letting him know you're there as he goes purple there. Maybe a little help from the slipstream, but nonetheless, he's right there, and he's just as fast.
I think it's a bit too early to count on maybe a bump and run, but these guys could get a bit physical through the course of the evening. Of course, competing setup shops, they want to be the fastest, so they want to move somebody out of the way if they have to every once in a while, and they're certainly going to cut teeth here this evening. David Lamb, third place. He's got Sam King up behind him, and that's the challenge now for third spot. Connor Crichton has backed off just a bit at Cale Gale. Jeffrey Mcconey currently riding in seventh. He's got company from Richard Murtaugh. So the Setup Shop owners going at it. You see very similar paint schemes on those two cars, just differences in the colors. Yellow, of course, for Mcconey, and red for Murtaugh. Tyler Payne just behind them in ninth place, and it's Kenny Zeems, and Greg Mcconey. But Boyd Hogan has not gone anywhere and is still putting the pressure on Max Cookson, just filling up that rear view mirror here on lap number 6 of 150.
Yeah, the chance of breaking away, you know, with clean air, especially with these Cup cars, you'd think it'd be greater. But the 96, he's not going anywhere. He's just there. Maybe, you know, a mistake not so prominent here early in the laps, but if he can stick around, let these tires get older, and really have to rely on grip on corner exit, maybe, just maybe, he can find his way around the 39 that way.
And the important thing to consider here is these guys are used to running open setup races. They're used to running A open, B open, C open on the oval side of iRacing. So that means they're used to their tire management. They're used to having to settle in for a long run. So these guys are not going to make as many mistakes here on the short run. They're not going to let these guys get opportunities to pass them. And that's exactly what we saw through most of the field here in the early going. Everybody now kind of singling out, though they are battling for 7th and 8th, actually. They were side by side on the entry of 1. Murtaugh and Mcconey going at it, Payne in tow.
I was just about to say the Setup Shop owners are duking it out tough. Murtaugh looking to the inside once again, almost getting to the quarter panel there, the 24, and they have been crossing each other over the past couple of laps. It has been absolutely insane between these two setup owners.
And Tyler Payne has a great view of it all. You can see they've fallen a little ways back of the race leaders now. And, of course, that's another thing to consider in open setup racing. They sometimes spread out a whole lot easier, but as the race goes on, again, they have opportunities to adjust on their cars and tighten that field back up. We're going to talk about the anchor of the field real quick. Greg Mcconey currently running at number 12 in 12th position. He's entering 1 now as Max Cookson is about to exit turn 4. So, again, the field spreading out just a little bit here on this opening run, but they should tighten up as the race goes on. Mcconey and Murtaugh still fighting, though. This time Murtaugh gets the spot out of 4.
Yeah, but Mcconey will just shoot to the inside there in the 1, try to keep it off the 2, or the 33. He scored as a 2, my bad. And side by side down the back straight, Mcconey has the advantage entering turn 3 with the preferred line, and Murtaugh just lets him go, but Mcconey slides up. Here comes Murtaugh right back. This definitely has been the battle to watch.
Here comes Mcconey back down to the inside. He actually clips that apron. That's going to hurt his corner entry, and that's going to give Murtaugh a decent shot to get out of the corner. It's Greg Mcconey spun around out of turn number 2. Can he get back rolling without drawing a yellow flag? We will see. Spins it back around on the inside of the back straightaway, and he should get rolling without a problem. So Murtaugh takes the spot for now over Jeffrey Mcconey, and he's starting to gap that number 24 by just a bit.
Yeah, maybe Jeff was using up his tires a little bit, but again, you know, it's a short track, and you're going to use up these rear tires a lot as the run goes on. So we'll see, either he used them up or he says, hey, I got to preserve them because they're going to get used up. But falling back now to the clutches of Tyler Payne, which he kind of muscled by him to get by him originally, because I believe Payne was 5th after qualifying and already back to 9th, and Mcconey already falling back to him. So it'll be interesting to see if Tyler Payne was saving.
Meanwhile, this battle for the lead has not changed. Hogan right off the back end, the bumper cover of Max Cookson, just hanging there, just intimidating him a little bit, hitting R2, if you will, and getting ready to maybe make a move on this long run, but he's got to get there first, and that's the biggest thing. Of course, iRacing has as one of their notes to drivers sometimes to register for a race. To win, you must first finish. Or, sorry, to finish first, you must first finish. That's what it is. I totally botched that at first, but you get the point. You have to get through this race. You have to get through this run to be able to get this opportunity to get on by Max Cookson, because that mistake is not just going to happen. And you've got to be there when it does. You've got to be there really to create that opportunity for yourself if you're Boyd Hogan. So he's got to hang with him, and now suddenly Max Cookson's starting to gap him.
Yeah, and I think the exact same has been going on for third place here. David Lamb just starting to open up the gap to Sam King. It's almost been mirror battles going on between the first and second and third and fourth, but they are encountering lap traffic here. I believe that's the 40 of Ken Zeems, who's right in front.
That is actually Greg Mcconey. He goes wide into turn number 1, and he's going to give that space up to those top two, and he's going to just slip back into what would be third place between what is second and third. Of course, he is now 2 laps down, loses that second lap after his spin out of turn number 2. Not sure what happened to him originally to send that number 12 car around, but certainly not having the start to his day that he wanted. David Lamb, you mentioned, still has company from that number 27 unmarked Chevrolet Camaro. And so we don't know which team he's running for. We can kind of guess through most of the field. We're assuming Cookson, I'm not really sure actually about Cookson. I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually a Mcconey driver, being that he's from up northeast. I believe Hogan is a Rocket Racing driver. Again, could be totally wrong. And from the looks of things so far, I'm also guessing that the number 09 of David Lamb is a Rocket driver. No clue about Sam King. We're assuming that Cale Gale is a Rocket Racing driver. Again, hard to say. Richard Murtaugh definitely is a Rocket driver. Connor Crichton, though, has slipped back into 7th place, losing that spot from, to Richard Murtaugh. He is a Mcconey driver. Crichton is. Tyler Payne as well. And then Mcconey, obviously, is a Mcconey driver. I'm not sure about the Zeems, and Greg Mcconey holding the fort down in 12th place.
Yeah, it would have been a little nice to get a little more clarity on who is who, but nonetheless, we are seeing it for sure with these yellow guys duking it out. I see Tyler Payne work his way by Connor Crichton, and is that the 40 now? That's the 40 going a lap down of Ken Zeems to Cookson and Hogan.
Meanwhile, run off of the rear bumper cover of the number 09 is Sam King. This battle had spread out just a little bit not so long ago. Now it has only drawn closer as Sam King has drawn right up to this number 09. And a little ways for the back, Cale Gale still waiting in the wings. If these two start battling and one of them makes a mistake, he could get that 4th, even that 3rd position. So you might be able to move Cale Gale up a few spots as well. It depends on how this battle goes, as David Lamb starting to fall into the clutches of Sam King for 3rd.
Yeah, Sam King has not really gone anywhere. If anything, he's just kind of been biding his time and letting David Lamb kind of work his way through the lap traffic, and Sam King just kind of follows suit. Maybe he's looking to get into a little heavier traffic now, and it's not going to be too heavy if only 12 cars on the track, but try to use maybe lap traffic as a pick if he can't get around him just as it is right now, but maybe kind of saving tires or waiting for lap traffic. I don't know, but he's not falling off. He's biding his time. It's a long race-ish, or 26 laps in of a 150-lap event.
So we've been educated a little bit. We've got information from both Derek Nickel out on the Facebook world, and we've got information from Eric Stout on YouTube. Both Zeems are Mcconey drivers, and the entire top 3 right now is all Rocket Racing Setup. So Rocket Racing Setup certainly covering the field right now. We'll see how that changes over the course of the rest of the race. Of course, only a 1/6 of the way in, about 18% or so, as we get settled in for a 150-lap race this evening at Richmond Raceway. During the day, though, so that's certainly changing things up a little bit. Usually you see a lot of night races here at Richmond, spicing things up with some sunlight as well. The 09 of Lamb catches the apron in 3. How's that going to change the exit? Here comes Sam King.
He is filling up that rear view mirror, and he's trying to force that 09 into a mistake. You know, to really make a pass around, you're probably going to have to use up those right sides of your tires, at least those right side tires, and to try to minimize that, she's going to try to, get around him by kind of forcing him to get around him.
We're hearing a bit of tire squeal out of both these drivers as here comes Sam King's move. He goes down to the inside, immediately clears Lamb through 1 and 2. Will Lamb try and cross him back up? Nope, can't quite do it. So he's going to settle on. Oh, he actually kind of taps the wall down the straightaway. David Lamb does. So now Sam King infiltrates that podium, gets up in the 3rd spot.
I think we're going to see now if Sam King was really faster than David Lamb the whole time and was just trying to work his way around him, or are they equally on pace, or are tires starting to come into effect? We'll see here in a couple laps. Looks like Sam King already opened up to 0.3 of a second and looking to grow that.
Meanwhile, it's all Max Cookson up front. He still leads now after 31 of 150. Looking back through the field, I only see about one other battle minus Sam King and David Lamb. And that battle just split up a little bit. It looks like Jeffrey Mcconey with an issue down the backstretch. Oh, he's very sideways, and he's got some right front damage. Looks like he might have gotten the fence, of course. And he is sliding back in the number 24 Maconi Setup Shop Chevrolet Camaro. He's in 9th spot. Crichton actually, I think, tags the wall. So the Maconi Setup Shop being put back on its heels right now.
Yeah, and not quite sure if that's the setup or is it just the nature of the track. This is a tough track, especially I mentioned earlier. It's a drive on corner exit. You really have to try to keep the car straight if the rear wheels aren't cooperating with the grip. And it comes down to, are you going to hit the wall or are you going to spin if it gets to that point? Of course, having the setup be a little bit smoother for the long run would help that out. But only 34 laps in, it might be time to ring the alarm over there. It's still early, and this race can still come to them, especially if a couple flags fall their way. But right now, it is not looking good for Maconi Setup Shop.
He's going to go on by Zeems, and now I see the Mcconey logo on the back end of Zeems' car. So he's trying to chase down his teammate, actually, Connor Crichton. That would be for 8th spot if Mcconey can get there, as he clears that 40 car of Ken Zeems. Kenny Zeems has now gone one lap down, and Jeffrey Mcconey will be the next to fall victim to the race leaders. The rest of the field getting pretty darn spread out, minus the 78 and 24 cars. We're going to keep with this battle. But, man, this field definitely calmed things down. And this is a nice, calm start. I like this kind of a start, though, to a Richmond race.
Yeah, let it all be about the drivers and tire management, and really let the setups speak for themselves. Let the drivers speak for themselves. And the really only way to do that is to let the race run its course. Of course, Sam King now opening up the gap to David Lamb up to 0.6 of a second. So maybe David Lamb was just holding up Sam King and he didn't want to be too aggressive getting around him. Cookson, the gap between the top two has kind of stabilized. And, of course, back here, we'll go back up front with Cookson. And I don't know if Hogan's just lost touch, or I've said it a lot, or he's saving. We'll see. I'm assuming we're going to have at least one stop in this race. And when that stop comes is going to have huge implications on the outcome of this race.
You see Hogan trying to correct his steering a little bit there on the exit of the corner, taking a shallower entry then to turn one. Definitely starting to battle some loose conditions, and he's feathering the throttle on corner exit as well. He's certainly fighting that car just a little bit, despite these guys having open setups. Of course, loose is fast, so they've still got to keep these cars on the edge of control if they want to go quickly, which right now, the entire top six, we've been told, is all Rocket Racing setups. They are certainly going rather quickly.
That is for sure. Looks like the gap between Murtaugh and Tyler Payne, that has gone up to 2.2 seconds. So the gap between the two groups is already opening up. And Cookson just, minding his own now, opened up the lead to 0.8 of a second. So Cookson, as he approaches the 40 of Zeems, is going to work his way by him as Zeems lets him through. And the battle back here, Mcconey and Crichton. Mcconey into 8th over Crichton. And Crichton now losing a little touch to Mcconey. We'll see if we can get him back.
Yes, these two have now swapped spots, so Mcconey up to 8th and Crichton back to 9th. And I guess, to be fair to Connor Crichton, I've seen him in fixed races. I know he does open races as well, but my experience with him being pretty quick is in fixed setups. I'm just trying to razz him a little bit, but he is actually giving Mcconey now a fighting shot right here. He almost gets right back to the back end of that Chevrolet Camaro, and he's going to try and put a move on him, it looks like, here to turn 3. So these couple of teammates going to go at it now for 8th position. Here comes Crichton. He slides up a little bit on entry. He's going to wrangle that thing back down on corner exit, side by side out of the corner. They're both a bit loose. They both step out just a little bit, and they stay side by side for turn 1.
I'm trying to look at that 78 car. I can't tell if there's any damage, but we know for sure there's damage on the 24. So just seeing this battle and how they're having to drive the cars, and Mcconey at the moment, I can tell only with the right front damage, a little handicapped in this battle. Just fun to see these guys slip and slide around on a hot, slick track on aging tires. It really is a fun one here in Richmond.
Oh, look at that. They get so close. They both slow up, and this is right in front of leader Max Cookson. We're on board with him now as he exits turn number 2. Crichton's all over the place. Saves that car for now. Does he have a flat tire?
Oh my goodness, if he does, that is
I don't
wow.
think he does, but he was steering pretty hard right there, like he couldn't turn to the left, and it looked like maybe the right side had gone down. It's really early to have any kind of tire failure, but you can now have them. That's why I was so surprised there for a second, but Crichton just all over the place. Thankfully, he saved that car. He gets in line between 3rd and 4th place, but he is now 1 lap down, and Cookson is about to put Mcconey a lap down as well.
Yeah, I don't really know how this is going to look, because Tyler Payne is only about 4.5, 5 seconds up the road from Mcconey. So if the entire Maconi Setup Shop group goes a lap down, only a third of the way into the race, it's not going to look good. But Mcconey slides up the track here. Cookson trying to get to his inside. Mcconey fighting hard to stay on that lead lap, but Cookson looks like he's going to try to send it in here into turn 1. He'll do so and cleared at 24. I can't see the crossover really happening. Cookson's been pretty much on rails from the drop of the green.
Mcconey gave it a bit of a lunge into 3, I think just trying to keep up with the number 39 right now. I've had really good experiences with Jeff Mcconey and everybody over the Maconi Setup Shop, but right now, you said it pretty well. If they go this far down in just the first third of this race, and if this thing goes green, they are in trouble for the rest of these 100 laps to go as we near the 1/3 mark of this 150-lap contest. Currently, the Rocket Racing setup group is looking pretty dang stout. I know Boyd Hogan probably had a pretty good hand in this setup this evening, and he's a pretty well sought-after setup builder as well, so I'm not entirely surprised that the number 96 and every other Rocket Racing vehicle is doing pretty well this evening.
Yeah, and the next part of this race is going to be coming up. I'm not exactly sure, but I'd have to guess in about 25-ish laps as we approach the halfway point in that time. What is the pit strategy? Do you split this race in half? Do you short pit to maybe work your way around the other drivers that way, or do you go as long as you can and maybe try to have a shorter stop?
Well, we'll have to get there first. We still have a 25-lap segment, if you will, to get there, and anything could still happen, especially with these guys' tires dropping off the way they are. I'd have to imagine if they were going to pull 2 stops, well, Mcconey slaps the wall right there. I have to imagine if they were going to play 2 stops, they would have already pitted to try and get that first stop out of the way a couple of laps ago and make it 3 even cuts through the race. But nobody has visited the pit lane just yet. I say that, Connor Crichton comes in.
Yeah, coming down the pit lane. That's 78. He was kind of struggling, already a lap down before he even headed into the pit lane. So we'll see if this is going to give him any advantage to maybe try to get back onto the lead lap, or at least try to get to the lucky dog spot and hope for a flag to fall his way. We will see as he works down the pit lane. He's pulling into his box now. I'm going to assume it's going to be 4 tires and a... Well,
whoa, is that some wrecking I just saw? Somebody, I think, either drifted into the corner or wrecked into the corner, one of the two. I think it might have been this 15 of Zeems. I want to get a replay here. I vaguely saw it. Okay, I guess I was tripping. I vaguely saw some smoke up ahead. I really want to find out who and what that was, because that was almost... oh, it's Greg Mcconey right there. Wow!
What a save. You know, you hate to see, especially that far down the running order, but he is trying to get the most out of that car nonetheless. What a save. Able to keep that thing from going around, keeps it going, and grabs the gears, now heading down the back straight.
Yeah, he's got a lot of rear brake in that number 12 right now, and that's why he's getting so loose on corner entry, I believe. He's just sideways. I mean, he is drifting into the corners almost. You watch him, the rear end is trying to step out and go further up the racetrack than the nose. Here comes Cale Gale to put him further on back in this group. Not for position. Connor Crichton has now got back onto the racetrack. He's the only car to pit thus far, so I think that was just an unscheduled pit stop for the Mcconey entry. And he comes up actually on Richard Murtaugh, so he actually could play spoil and slow some of these Rocket Racing guys up a little bit and just change the race up a little bit, change the dynamic of this race. I mean, it's a possibility, but I'm not sure that just him going around them is going to do a whole lot as he gets real sideways through 3 and 4. Maybe he won't change the dynamic of this race, but he's certainly going to heat up those tires.
Yeah, I was just about to say, these tires are pretty cold coming off the pit lane onto a hot, slick track. The change in temperature is really going to upset the car the first couple laps until the temperature equals out. And I think that was a view right there on what cold tires are. And that was a long stop for Crichton. 55 seconds according to timing and scoring he spent in the pit box. So you have to wonder, was there damage or not entirely sure what was going on for that 78.
Well, it looks like he's since figured things out and gotten back in the right direction. But yeah, I mean, that's 55 seconds. That's incredible. And it actually even seems like a long trip down the pit lane as well. 1:21.8 total. So Connor Crichton, maybe he had to adjust something with his streaming setup. Who knows? But a very, very long pit stop there. Max Cookson continues to lead. We're now through 60 laps of 150 here at Richmond Raceway. Suddenly looking like we might go green to the end. I know it's early to say that, and I could be jinxing the entire thing, but at this point, I hope I am.
Yeah, it has gone very spread out. The battles have really died down for the moment. But what this does allow is strategy to become the big talk of this race, and I think 60 laps in is a good chance for that to become the talking point. I've talked about tires a lot, trying to save these things. We'll see when those start to come into effect. You've seen these drivers lose control on corner exit. Tires have been becoming a factor, but how long can they go out there? How long can they overheat these tires before it finally lets go?
We're watching Tyler Payne, Max Cookson, and Boyd Hogan right now. Payne, the first car to come into screen each time at the moment, and he's trying to stay on the lead a lap and not go a lap down to race leader Max Cookson, at least before this pit stop, but hopefully for the entire race. I'm going to be honest, I'm impressed right now with Tyler Payne. I wasn't sure how he was going to do in a stock car here at Richmond. I know him from some late model and legend car racing, so I'm pretty impressed and pretty happy that he has been holding his own this long, because I had no information to go off of for a bigger stock car here at Richmond. That said, there goes Cookson, and he goes a lap down.
Quick note, Ken Zeems in the 40 has made his way down the pit lane and getting service now. Oh yeah, Cookson, his times have fallen up nearly 2 seconds, a second and a half. His best time at 21.5, and Cookson running a 23.1 that last lap around. So that's just kind of a gauge on how much tire fall off has happened. Boyd Hogan nearly fallen off an entire 2 seconds to his 21.5 to a 23.496 that last time around.
We're currently looking at Ken Zeems, who is also having a very long pit stop. Now at 40 seconds in the pit lane, could this have been a speeding penalty or a pit entry penalty? And could that have been the downfall there for Connor Crichton as well?
That might just be, 15 and 40 is 55. We'll see. Still in the box. Maybe it was longer. But that definitely could have been it for Connor Crichton. You are right. Maybe speeding on pit entry. It is so hard to get down there. We saw it there towards the tail end of practice. Tyler Payne got loose and went down the pit lane. But you got to slow down early if you're going to get the pit road speed and not lose time. And that really could have been the case.
Crichton actually goes by David Lamb. Now, I wonder if Crichton can stretch those tires and fuel for 100 laps and go to the end on this set. I don't think he's going to. I don't think that's the game plan. He could have also just pitted to try and get some of that track position back in case they get a yellow here. But it's an idea to think about in his position right now, since he pitted early, thinking if he can try and stretch it out to the end. Kenny Zeems now makes his way down the pit lane. It looks like Ken Zeems still on the pit lane, now almost 2 minutes for the number 40 in the pit lane, and Kenny drops into 11th just ahead of Ken. So these two 11th and 12th now. Ken now 9 laps down, Kenny 4 laps down. Certainly not what they wanted to do here at Richmond.
And also now Kenny Zeems in the box for a while, approaching 40 seconds and counting. This is weird what's going on. At least the 3 drivers who pitted so far in the pit stalls for extended periods of time. We'll see here 50 seconds now. We'll see what happens in a couple.
Meanwhile, no changes through the rest of the field. Max Cookson still leads. It's now lap 71, getting closer to halfway at 75. Boyd Hogan now 3 seconds back, and he's got Tyler Payne to worry about. They go up the racetrack, and I want to see a replay of what just happened going into the corner. Tyler Payne,
yeah, he just closed up on him really fast. Whoa, he got loose. Never mind. Yeah.
And if you're Tyler Payne right there, you've got to hold the bottom, not come back up the racetrack like that. That's why Boyd had to back out and follow at the racetrack and lost a lot of time. Suddenly, only a second gap back to Sam King for third. David
Lamb now in the pit lane, one of our front runners coming in, and now this is just a couple of laps shy of halfway, so this definitely can be the short pit, and to try to improve his way up the running order. We'll see here, and hopefully this is a regularly timed time in his pit stall.
There go the right sides on. We'll see the left side jack up here shortly. Left sides are coming off and going back on. He's getting ready to get back out there immediately. Gets on it, and he is out the pit lane. So David Lamb, the first of the scheduled pit stops here on lap 72, 73, I think, on to 74 now. He will exit the pit lane just 13.9 seconds in the pits. We'll see what the rest of these guys do. Cookson still on the racetrack. I wouldn't be surprised to see him be the first of these next batch of drivers in. Sam King, though, is actually starting to reel in Boyd Hogan a little bit. Only 7/10 between them.
Yeah, you have to say that Boyd Hogan's encounter with lap cars really might have played into great hands for Sam King. Has a chance at second position here. We'll see how strategy works out as coming off of turn 2 here. Another lap car in the way. It really is how well your car is positioned around here. How lucky can you get with the lap traffic?
Well, Connor Crichton actually just went by Boyd Hogan for that. Not for position, but just for bragging rights at this point. So Connor got on by the 96, and he's trying to set sail. He's up the racetrack he'd 1 and 2 as we're on board with Sam King trying to reel in the 96. We have Jeffrey Mcconey and Richard Murtaugh both on the pit lane. We're going to check out that as it looks like Hogan's going to make his trip down as well. Yep, here comes Boyd Hogan. A sketchy pit entry there, but he gets that car woed down in time. Murtaugh also coming in for service.
Yeah, I'm actually questioning, did Hogan get down to pit speed in time? Obviously, we'll see if it's a regular time pit stop or not. A lot of people on pit lane now. Cale Gale is in as well. That only leaves about 3 or 4 drivers left on track to yet take service. Mcconey back out on track.
And here comes Tyler Payne. He also comes in for his pit stop, so it is just a one-stopper. Not surprised by that. What I am surprised by is some of these guys waiting this long into this back half of the race to come in and pit. I thought these guys would have come in a little bit sooner and got back on the racetrack much more quickly. Cale Gale exits his pit box. He gets back on the racetrack. Boyd Hogan has lost that position now to David Lamb, and we're just waiting on the leaders pretty much to pit. It's just up to Max Cookson, Sam King, and Greg Mcconey to come down the pit lane for service.
I mean, so we talked about the lap time fall.
And here comes Cookson.
I was just about to say, how long can you really stay out there running a second and a half, nearly 2 seconds slower? Here he comes, and can he make it a clean stop as Sam King assumes the lead? Him and Greg Mcconey have yet to pull in for their service.
So Sam King assumes the race lead at least for a lap. He was third when this cycle started, and he was gaining quickly on Boyd Hogan. So In about 70 laps time when this race wraps up, he could actually bring something to the fight of the 96. But right now, the 96 to Boyd Hogan trying to gap him by running faster laps on those new tires, and Sam King running much slower laps at the moment. Greg Mcconey has for now entered himself into the conversation in about 9th spot, only 3 laps down. He has not pitted yet, which is why we want to cover that number 12 Purdue entry. And Sam King stays on the racetrack. Here comes Richard Murdaugh to his outside.
Very surprised Greg Mcconey's sticking as long as he is, just because he's had a spin and a couple slides. Those tires much more heated than maybe the other drivers on track. So the fact that he's able to go this long is pretty interesting to me. The 27 continues his way around. I think he's starting to make his bed, but he kind of just has to go as long as he can, and I don't know, maybe take a 2-tire stop or something. That's really risky, though. I don't know what the advantage is to the 27 staying out as long as he is.
One advantage, he's going to be a little bit faster towards the end of this run. Of course, when he comes out on those new tires, he's going to have a leg up on all the guys he was just racing, but he's losing a lot of time right here that he has to then gain back up, and he's going to be heating those tires up to do so. So I am a bit perplexed by this move from Sam King in the number 27, but it could still work out for him. And of course, he's in the driver's seat. He's got the steering wheel between his hands right now. We just have a mouse and keyboard, and we're just talking about the race. So I guess there's a reason that he's down there and we're up here.
I'll say, as Greg Mcconey, the second to last driver to make their way down pit lane, and in this pit box now, getting service and on the left side tires. And we'll see if he's down and away. Down and away he is. And wow, both of the Zeems are still in the pit lane. So they might just be done for today.
Worth noting that David Lamb passed up both Max Cookson and Boyd Hogan. Now, something that's going to slow these pit stops up, of course, is adjustments. David Lamb looks to have made no adjustments to his race car under that pit stop. Max Cookson, a bit slower of a stop, a little over a half second slower than Lamb. As they enter some lap traffic, they go by Crichton. They actually go by the race leader, Sam King, to get their laps back. And Cookson is all over the back end of the 09. This is tentatively for the race lead once things cycle out.
Yeah, Cookson just rolled the exits so nicely. I think that adjustment really helped. If he could make that car any faster, he definitely did, as he takes the theoretical race lead away from David Lamb.
And Hogan rolled right up on Crichton. He's going to go on by that number 78 through 3 and 4. Now is Sam King stays your race leader. Now lap 87 of 150. Him going this long means that possibility for Connor Crichton might actually be tangible to go into the rest of the race on this set of tires from about lap 50 when he pitted.
You got to think maybe that is what he's doing. I don't know how it's going to work out, but working a race like a road course, pitting backwards where you only take as much as you need and go to the end, that I believe was the strategy there for the 78. We'll see how it works while the 27 doing the inverse of that, pretty much going as long as he can. At this point, there's no way that he's not going to try to run that thing empty.
There was quickly a battle on the racetrack, but then it sorts itself out. Hogan goes right on by the number 09 of David Lamb. So that is tentatively for second place once it all cycles out, once Sam King comes down the pit lane. He's now been on the racetrack for his 90th lap consecutively on this set of tires. No cautions or anything out there, so he's certainly pushing the limit right here, and we're going to see how far he can go, and this opens the idea for Connor Crichton to go to the end. Again, the more laps that Sam King runs, the more that we know that Crichton just might be able to do it. His tires are going to be pretty darn bad at the end of that lap, by the end of that 100-lap run, as he's sideways now, and he just went out of screen. He doesn't hit the inside wall, I don't think, but that was sketchy right there. Glad he saved it.
Yeah, I have to wonder what is happening now, because Sam King just passed somebody with 40 lap fresher tires than him. So I'm going to assume Crichton's maybe saving, or he's struggling with that car, as he did almost have a spin off of turn 2. But Sam King, his lap times, they're 23.3s. Now, those are about a second slower than what Cookson's running right now, but not, I can't say detrimentally slower. He, again, did just pass somebody with 40 lap fresher tires. So, where King has 40 lap older tires than Crichton. and has a little bit of a gap to the group behind him.
You know what I think it is for Connor Crichton? I think it's the corn dogs getting in the way of things. They're just all over the place and slowing him down, and he's just... I mean, he is just hanging it loose. Maybe he's slipping on some ketchup and mustard or something, because he has been all over the place in that number 78. And he's got to reel himself in. He tags the apron there, but he actually comes out of the corner fine that time. He's been loose so many times up out of turn number 2 consecutively. Meanwhile,
I think
we
Sam
just
King
lost our race leader, Sam King.
I was just gonna say, I think it just blinked out of existence. Yeah, he's fallen to 5th, and he's not gonna... Oh, is he back on the track? No. Oh, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, that was a replay, and he's out of here. He's down to 6 now and not running at all. That gives the lead to Cookson now with a 1.5 second advantage over Boyd Hogan and 4 seconds over David Lamb.
He puts Mcconey back to 2 laps down now as he goes on by the number 24. Boyd Hogan to be the next driver to encounter the number 24 Chevrolet Camaro. Things have definitely quieted down. We're nearing the back third, and through that pit cycle, we didn't get a chance to go to a halfway break, so we'll currently recap everything for you here. It's certainly an interesting one here for the Maconi Setup Shop versus Rocket Racing Setup Showdown at Richmond Raceway. You can see Max Cookson, your race leader, currently by 1.6 seconds over Boyd Hogan. Then it's David Lamb, Cale Gale, and Richard Murtaugh, your top 5. They are all Rocket Racing entries. Tyler Payne, the first of the Maconi entries. He is 1 lap down in 6th spot. Another lap back is going to be Jeffrey Mcconey, and then it's Sam King, who just dropped out of connection. Connor Crichton 3 laps down. He'll get that 8th spot for now. Greg Mcconey 4 laps down. And the back of the field, just 2 cars, Kenny and Ken Zeems. They've both called it an evening.
Yeah, wow. It has definitely not been exactly... It hasn't been what we expected out of the setup shops. We expected it to be for Rocket to bring the fight, but really sticking it to Maconi Setup Shop right now. Tyler Payne carrying the team, if you will, but to no avail, being 1 lap down, trying to maybe hope for a yellow to fall his way, and if that does happen, that would put him back onto the lead lap for the time being, and maybe he can have some sort of say in the end of this race. But with 50 laps to go this time by for Cookson, it really looks like this is a Rocket Setup Shop day.
So Max Cookson now takes us into the back third, and if this was hockey, this would be the start of the third period. He's reeling in the number 33, Richard Murtaugh Jr., the owner of Rocket Racing Setups. He's going to go right on by the 33, the kart driver, and he will put the 33 1 lap down. So Max Cookson only has 3 other cars, 4 total on the lead lap to contend with. This show has gone green from the start, so you can see there, 0 cautions for 0 laps, only 2 lead changes, both during that pit cycle. It's an interesting day, not as warm as I thought it would be, but the track temp has come up just a bit here, Emerson, now up to 107.
Yeah, and I think this is really going to speak to the drivers who adjusted with the racetrack as it got hotter. You know, you have to make it a little tighter because it is a lot more slicker. And to really keep the car planted, you have to adjust for it. And if you didn't adjust for it, you're really just going to be falling down the running orders. I think that might have happened to who had the short. I think, was it David Lamb? Yeah, he didn't adjust for it, and he's losing touch now, down to 7.5 seconds behind Max Cookson.
So as the field all rolls on by, we thank you for tuning in to Pit Stop TV this evening. And, well, we were definitely looking forward to this race, and we're so happy to be here, but it has just been a massacre put on by the Rocket Racing Setup team this evening. A few drivers from a few different sim racing teams, but all flying under one banner this evening. And like you said, Emerson, really sticking it to the Maconi Setup Shop. But it's not over. Anything can still happen here in Richmond. And those Mcconey cars still looked decently competitive on the short run. they just did not need this long green flag run for the entirety of the race.
Yeah, I think they really needed this race to really play out like a short track race, a lot of carnage and a lot of yellows, because yeah, they are fast on the short run, and it's just not really playing out to their favor right now. Their lap times, again, well, I guess everybody's best lap started off at the top of the run, but it's not really going to help out any better. The track's not going to get any faster as the track gets hotter, and maybe just trying to make the right adjustments into the favor of the track, I'd guess, as we only have 4 drivers on the lead lap. It's a tough sledding for everybody, but really tough for those Mcconey guys right now.
It's really just been a beating put on by the top 2, Max J. Cookson and Boyd Hogan. They are really sticking it to the entire field. David Lamb trying to keep up with them, and he's not doing a terrible job of it as he goes by Jeffrey Mcconey in the number 24. But that Raise Energy Toyota Camry just hasn't quite kept up with those 2 ahead of him. That said, he is 3.8, almost 4 seconds ahead of Cale Gale in 4th, the only other driver on the lead lap right now.
Yeah, if we go green now, I want to see how many drivers are going to finish on the lead lap. I don't know if Cale Gale will be able to stay on the lead lap. I mean, of course, he's got, the real life experience and all that, but to this, he is nearly 13 seconds behind Cookson. We'll see how long he can stick it out. Only 40 laps to go, though, this time by. So we'll see. And then David Lamb, if he can keep it clean, he might be able to stay on the lead lap, and that would be it.
So as we enter the back end of this race, the latter stages, Connor Crichton has not been on the pit lane since he pitted originally, and he lost a few laps when he did pit. He's now 4 laps down, but he has not pitted since, so he might be going for that long-haul strategy, the reverse of what Sam King was going to do, where Sam King stayed out for, 94 laps? Yep, 94, and then dropped out of the server. Wow! Jeff Mcconey back there, just sideways out of the corner. These guys definitely very, very loose.
Yeah, so what will fall into Crichton's favor is that, well, when unfortunately Sam King fell out of the session, he did run 94 laps on his set of tires, which Connor Crichton was on his stint of 55, 56 laps. He has to save the car big time. I was just about to say, that means he can, he's on the butter still. Can he hold on to it?
On the butter. I've not heard that one since NASCAR 14. That's an old term. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure if anyone's heard that on iRacing. Actually, that's an older term. I like it though.
Yeah, yeah. That was definitely techniques.
You know what? I think his rear tires are butter because he is just slipping and sliding all over the place. And I mean, who doesn't love a good corn dog without some butter? I guess. Not the combo I would think of, but apparently it's working for Connor Crichton because he is slipping all over the place. And I'm gonna be a bit like Joe White right now and use a Joeism. I think he's got a corn dog in his mouth. He's probably just, sitting there racing around, and he's got his face cam on and just hanging out his face. Maybe smoking it like a pipe, whatever. Connor Crichton, of course, if you don't know, streams on Twitch, xMcFly78x. You can follow his Twitch channel. It's certainly some interesting content. He goes hard in the grind, and he's giving us a show right now.
Yeah, I have to wonder if he's going to enter in any Formula Drift competitions. He's getting a lot of practice right now. I was just about to say, with his stint left, looks like we're at 35 laps to go. According to Sam King's nearly completed stint, Crichton can go all the way, but he is lining up those rear tires. Now I'm not so sure if he can go all the way to the end.
So just out of curiosity, I'm pulling up Connor's Twitch, and it doesn't look like he's actually live right now. But he's definitely someone you want to go follow. So go check him out. Again, it's twitch.tv/xMcFly78x. I think he's trying to at this point. It's like he's just chucking the car in and letting her eat.
Yeah, he's just having fun. And at the end of the day, this was all for fun. Bragging rights for sure, but just a fun race at the end of the day. And if you can find a way to have fun being 4 laps down, I mean, go for it. He is lining up those rear tires and is absolutely fun to watch right now.
You know what else might be fun to watch here? Cale Gale is actually starting to reel in the 09 of David Lamb. So you can see the 09 up ahead, and of course the 09 pitted a bit earlier than really everybody else that pitted at that lap 75 mark, or at least thereabouts the halfway mark. So it's a 5-lap difference between Lamb's tires and Gale's tires, and the driver that pitted last, Max Cookson, at least out of this bunch, is leading the way. So definitely something to be said for running a bit longer in that first run.
I guess you definitely can say that those tires are gonna go pay their dividends here towards the end. But of course, Cookson's just so fast. I don't know how much of that is tires and how much of it is just his speed. I'd have to say Connor Crichton had a big moment off the turn 2, ate the inside wall, and then is now on the pit lane getting I would assume damage repairs. So that is it's going to be the end to his fun run.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Pops the inside wall. Thankfully, no caution flag. Well, thankfully for him, I think, just to save him the embarrassment of being the only caution flag. But, yeah, I mean, he's just having fun at this point, so he probably isn't embarrassed at all because he just gets a bit sideways. I think just gets in the throttle. Yep, there it is. And just the car comes around on him and trying to get it back under control ends up sticking it to that inside wall. I hope he gets back on the racetrack because he was keeping things exciting for us while Cale Gale tries to track down the number 09 of David Lamb. It might still happen, and we might still have a battle for third spot.
Yeah, that gap is now 1 second. We'll see if Cale Gale can do anything when he gets to the 09. How is he going to pass is really going to be the thing, especially with both of these drivers. They're going to be on very, older tires than right out of the older tires compared to sticker tires. So we'll see how much grip there is, how hard of a battle it's going to be. But Cale Gale is running David Lamb down a straightaway. It's gonna happen.
So 26, almost 25 laps to go for these guys. Well, they're coming to 26 here momentarily when they take 125. And we are suddenly going to have a battle for the bottom spot on the podium and possibly for the first driver one lap down when it's all said and done, because Max Cookson is gaining on the both of them. And he's only, let's see, they're running about 23s, so they're about 8 seconds, about 8 seconds ahead of Cookson right now. So if they get to battling and Cookson keeps running his pace, he might lap up through third spot. This is like an old NASCAR race out of the 60s.
I guess we're giving the fans what they want, that's for sure. But letting the drivers speak for themselves, I think, is the biggest thing out of today.
Well, this is the lower downforce package as well. This is the low downforce, high horsepower package, so there's a lot of power under those rear wheels.
Yeah, these drivers are really having to driving it off the corner. I mean, again, Richmond's a hard track. Oh, and the 83 just goes right on by around the outside. I don't think David Lamb puts up much of a fight. And Cale Gale to the podium. But with the low downforce, high horsepower package, it just makes this track 10 times harder. And then if your setup is looser, you're having a rough day. You are wheeling that thing if you're able to keep it fast.
Yeah, we've seen each and every one of these drivers be a little bit out of shape at one point or another. Certainly, I think mostly Connor Crichton over anybody, but it looks like Connor has parked it for the evening, now goes to 14 laps down. So we're down to about 8 cars, and you know what? I want to praise one Greg Mcconey because he has stuck it out, and it looks like, actually, he might be taking that top spot for most out of control this evening, and I mean that in the best of ways, but Greg Mcconey certainly has been sideways a lot, and I want to praise him for sticking it through this race. Despite being all over the place, real sideways the entire race, he has stayed in this thing. He started 12th, he's up to 8th spot just by racing, and that's that never give up mentality.
You know what these guys are doing? They're showing that they have some car control, because I already just said how hard these things are to drive. To keep these things straight is a whole other thing. So they're demonstrating a high level of car control to not really wreck these things, to do this for laps and laps on end, no matter where you are relative to the other drivers. Just driving this thing, getting around here in one piece, is tough in its own way.
And Greg Mcconey quickly being caught by Greg. Cale Gale right there in the number 83. He goes on by on the bottom side. So now I think the most interesting topic is going to be whether or not Max Cookson catches David Lamb and or Cale Gale, because he's only got, let's see, about 6 seconds to go up to David Lamb to put him a lap down. Maybe even less now. I think 5.5.
It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be easier for him to catch David Lamb than it is Cale Gale, because Cale Gale still has the mentality and I think has the speed to keep going forward. Cale Gale's only running half a tenth slower than Cookson, that last lap at least, while David Lamb is running 2/10 slower than Cookson.
Yeah, watching the lap times, Gale is definitely getting away from David Lamb pretty quickly. I guess that's why he got by him so easily. But I think David Lamb just might fall victim to that number 39 when it's all said and done. We're coming to 15 laps to go here shortly, and I mean, he's only 5 seconds ahead of Max Cookson, and he's losing time quick. And who knows, if Max Cookson gets a car to suddenly chase, he might be able to turn up the wick and go get him.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that is on his agenda. I think now, with a 6-second advantage over Boyd Hogan, I think he's just trying to finish the race. I think if he can lap, more drivers, that's just, more to brag about. But for Cookson now, it's just bringing it home.
Oh, absolutely. He's clear of Boyd Hogan by 5.9 seconds. We haven't talked about the 39 being in a battle since about lap 15 or 20. He has just set sail. He stayed out the longest out of any of these drivers left in the race on that long run, and he's just chilling. I mean, he's just riding around, turning laps, and getting to the end of this one and taking whatever bragging rights and reward there is for doing so. He's coming now to 13 laps to go, and there isn't a scratch on this number 39.
Yeah, a near perfect day, and he was fast already, and if he didn't adjust the car, I don't think he would have been any slower, or not. I don't think he would have lost this race even if he didn't adjust the car. But adjusting the car in that pit stop has just allowed him to absolutely pull so much time on Boyd Hogan, and has allowed him to get to this point where there's only 4 cars left on the lead lap. I think if he didn't adjust the car, he would have probably still been leading, but not as much of an advantage over Boyd Hogan. Probably still worrying about Boyd Hogan. But that adjustment just kind of solidified the deal for Cookson way in advance to right now, 11 laps to go.
Well, since we now have 11 laps to go, let's get back to talking about our partners here at Pit Stop TV. We're going to lead off with Maconi Setup Shop. The Maconi Setup Shop is your home for iRacing asphalt oval setups. With everything from the Legends to the Cup cars, they've got you covered. Head on over to www.McConeySetupShop.com today. You can't beat the best, so don't settle for the rest. Rocket Racing Setups has been a part of iRacing Dirt since 2017, but in 2018 they stopped doing business until 2020. So they are now back on their revival tour and producing setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, road, and rallycross. And they currently have 5 pro-level drivers working for them building setups for their customers and doing custom services such as coaching, booklets, and much more. Go to www.rocketracingsetups.com for more information. With Tucson Sound Art, your picture is your music. You provide the image you want and will custom create a beautiful framed high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional information. Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, quite simply, puts your appearance above all else, and when it's your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. At Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. You can contact them at 207-358-8683 or permanentmakeupinmaine.com for more information and to book a consultation. And of course, Whiplash Media, Pit Stop TV's new parent organization, specializing in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing, offering services such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Go to whiplash-media.com for more information. We rejoin you with 5 laps to go this evening. Emerson, it has certainly been a show by this Rocket Racing setup crew. 5 laps to go, and they've had the field covered all race.
Yeah, what you mentioned there in that in the sponsor readouts, this is their revival tour, and they are here in full force. I think they're very much alive. No more need to say revival tour. At least in this sense, they they're fast. What else has this race really told us about? Cale Gale still running there in third. He has now pulled 4.2 seconds over David Lamb, who's now really at the tail end of his lead lap. He's about half a straightaway ahead. I don't know if Cookson's really going to put him a lap down, even if he gets to his back bumper, because there is 3 laps to go here at the 3/4 mile track here in Richmond, Virginia. And yeah, a hot, slick day on a slightly banked short track has proved tough for many drivers, but not for Cookson to come around to 1.5 miles remaining.
1.5 miles to go, and this race was set up just to determine bragging rights between the two. They just want to have fun. They want some friendly competition. Jeff Mcconey and Richard Murtaugh have worked together for a while, and they've been buddies through the entire process, at least to my knowledge, talking to both before the race. So this was really just a matter of wanting to have some fun and put the two against one another, and obviously Richard Murtaugh and his crew brought their A game. Maconi, they just missed it by a little bit, and I think that's just why they've been a bit sideways through the entirety of this race, but they have still been quite good. The white flag flew, a straightaway a go, and out of turn 2 goes Max Cookson down the backstretch, and he's going to wrap this one up. Max Cookson is going to exit turn number 4, claiming victory for Rocket Racing. Setups it across the line. He drifts in the Tallarico number 39. Boyd Hogan out of turn 4 as well. He wraps up second place. Cale Gale heads into turns 3 and 4 to wrap up third. It's going to be David Lamb behind him in fourth, and that's everybody on the lead lap.
What a race. I mean, I think this race really showed the talent of all these drivers because of it being such a difficult track. The saves we saw out of the Mcconey guys and the speed we saw out of the Rocket guys, it was a show both ends of the spectrum. And Cookson on the front straightaway, is he going to burn it down? If he does, it's deservedly so. And we'll see here. It's just kind of waiting there, so I'm not too sure. Here comes the 96 as well.
Looks like he's not even going to do a burnout. Is he? Maybe. Oh, the whole field is gathered for a picture on the front stretch. I didn't see this at first. They have all gathered up and I guess a photo op here just to congratulate one another. I'm going to try and get a better view of it. This is kind of okay. Our cameras didn't quite expect a big photo op on the front stretch. But, man, they are all lined up here across the start-finish line. There they go. There they all go for a big joint burnout session.
I think that just shows what today was all about. Everybody truly did win in their own regard, and they got to showcase what they can do behind the wheel of one of the most difficult racing vehicles on the iRacing service.
Absolutely. The NASCAR Cup car is by no means an easy car to drive. It certainly has its own challenges in every way, shape, and form. And they all did a really good job of getting through 150 laps pretty quickly. I mean, we've only been on air for an hour and 42 minutes. That's including a half-hour build-up, so a little over an hour for the race. I mean, that's actually quite quick.
Yeah, very clean, I think is another word. These guys, again, great respect for one another. They're still lighting it up on the front straightaway. Oh, there's blown engines. Oh, that was Cookson who blew his engine. Oh, man.
Well, Emerson will, of course, as usual, step aside for a moment, get a couple of messages from a couple of partners. We'll be right back to you here shortly, hopefully with some post-race interviews. Don't go anywhere. This is continuing coverage into post-race coverage from Pit Stop TV of the Maconi Setup Shop versus the Rocket Racing Setup Group. We'll be right back to you from Richmond Raceway shortly.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
At Maconi Setup Shop, we offer custom-built setups for any asphalt oval car. Prices starting at just $5. Weekly setups available for all Legends, late models, modifieds, and NASCAR trucks, Xfinity, and Cup cars. Do you need one-on-one driver coaching? We've got you covered. Visit www.McConeySetupShop.com and find yourself in Victory Lane. Maconi Setup Shop, handling all your setup needs so you don't have to.
And welcome you back to Richmond Raceway here on Pit Stop TV, now post-race coverage of the Maconi Setup Shop Tour, the Maconi Setup Shop, taking on Rocket Racing Setups here at Richmond Raceway in the NASCAR Cup cars for 150 laps, and Max Cookson and the rest of the Rocket Racing Setup group really stuck it to that Maconi Setup Shop group this afternoon. It certainly was a bit of a massacre there, Emerson. We talked about it the entire afternoon, and it was a show put on by the Rocket Racing guys. We have a few of them to talk to as well, and we're, of course, going to kick it off with our race winner, Max Cookson. Emerson, take it away.
Right on. Max Cookson, this is the Pit Stop TV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, so a wild day for the most part, but not for you. Kind of talk to us about your 150 lap show, I guess you would say, of dominance.
Yeah, I just can't thank the Rocket Racing guys enough. I mean, that car was just so good. It did all the work for me, but 150 laps, green to checker there, no yellows. That definitely made it a little bit more challenging.
So we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, this is, Richmond Day as opposed to most leagues running Richmond Night. And the track was hot and slick. It started off at 102, ended up at like 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Did you make an adjustment on your one and only stop? And for what?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. That car was just so good from the drop of the green. The guys at Rocket are just unbelievable when it comes to that stuff, and didn't have to change a thing. All I had to do was drive.
Right on. And I guess one more question about how it went today. How was lap traffic a factor today, or was it?
It was pretty reasonable for the most part. Everyone kind of got out of the way, and a few guys were getting a little bit loose, but no real troubles there.
Right on. Well, do you have anybody to thank for your very dominant win today?
Yeah, just all the Rocket Racing guys, Greta Sawyer, Spottin', Boyd Hogan, just everyone who helps out on these things, and man, that proves how good they are.
Right on. Well, congratulations on your win here today, and yeah,
Thank you.
and that was our race winner, Max Cookson. Well, next we'll be joined with Trey as he interviews our second place finisher, Boyd Hogan.
Boyd Hogan, do you have a copy, sir?
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right, thanks for joining us. So overall, Boyd, it was a pretty uneventful day for you. You start second place, you finish second place. What are your initial thoughts hopping out of the virtual cockpit?
Well, we showed up and did what we were expected to do, I think. And it was I had some issues with the pedals going on, so gave Cookson the call, Kale, Lamb, those boys. Lamb was a big part of putting it together, so it was a fun event overall, and glad we could pull it out.
Yeah, definitely put a clean sweep on Maconi Setup today for the most part. In fact, you guys did take the top 5 spots today. With it being an open setup race, and it was a hot one today. You know, we saw Richmond in daytime, which is a rarity in real life. We're on the virtual side. What did you have to do to keep the car in line today?
The biggest thing for us was just keeping the right rear on it. It was, testing the last couple days. That was the struggle. Was even just trying to get anywhere near even tire wear was nearly impossible. So we're just had to make sure you're taking care of the right rear and not burning that off too quick. And I think around 35-40 laps in, I slid it one time, and it was just dead after that. So the tire model's definitely pretty finicky. So that's really just the main concern, is trying not to slide anything. And we still maintain drive off about 70-80 laps into the race. So definitely one of the better cars that we've had. But love this place, and obviously I'm pretty familiar with the Cup stuff, so it was a good race.
Yeah, that worked out well. 70 or 80 laps is about what you need, to get to a pit stop at Richmond. So, all perfect. I was kind of curious. What was the process like in terms of preparing the setup this week? Just wondering, were you involved, and how much work had to go in?
Oh, yeah. So I build all the stuff for Rocket, both the Cup cars and the trucks. Obviously also build for the slip angle guys on the Coke series side. So, Jake Nichols, Ray, a couple of those guys. So I was primarily building it. Max put in a lot of laps with me, Cookie, the last couple of days, just trying to get the car ready. And, David Lamb was pretty big part of putting it together as well. So thanks to those guys for putting in the time. And, yeah.
All right, that's about all I have for you, Boyd. Anyone you want to thank out there for your runner-up finish today?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to thank you guys, obviously, for taking the time out of your day to do this. Everybody at RocketRacingSetups.com. Richard, obviously, for getting me the opportunity to build the cars for him, to put out there on the site for everybody. Everybody's always, said that if they had the best setups on the sim, that they'd all be able to do something with it. So now's the opportunity. Go to RocketRacingSetups.com. Judd Danielson at Abruzzi, he's a big supporter of mine. Everybody at Bobby Earnhardt's Legacy Esports as well.
All right, thanks again, Boyd, and great job out there today here at Richmond.
Thank you, sir.
So that's Boyd Hogan. He's going to finish second place here at Richmond Raceway.
All right, next up, we're joined with our third place finisher, Kale Gale. How was the car today, Kale? I should have asked Kale, you have a copy?
Yeah, guys, I got you.
Right on. So how was the car today?
Pretty good. Boyd asked me to jump in there at the last minute, but yeah, the Rocket Racing setup was really good. I would have liked to seen a caution. Honestly, I haven't been on my computer in a couple of weeks, so that was the first lap I cut in a while, and been a while since I run at Richmond. So I would have liked to seen a caution and kind of stack everything back up, but obviously Boyd and Max are really good, and David as well. Just yeah, it was fun.
Right on. So I kind of asked this to the other to Max also, but the track was really hot and it got even hotter throughout the day. Did you make an adjustment on your pit stop? And if so, what was it?
I didn't. I got my right rear too hot the first run, just driver error. I was driving in too straight, getting on the right front, and then getting off the corner wrong. So the first part of the race, so the first run, I kind of killed my own tires. And then the second run, I actually looked at my tires at the end of the race there, and they were a ton better on the second run, and my car held on a lot better with no adjustments. So it was more just driver line and adjusting. Really had to watch the entry. Like you said, the track's a little bit slick, so you kind of had to, typical Richmond, a little free in, a little free off, a little tight in the middle.
Right on. And if I'm not mistaken, you started kind of in the heart of this field and had to work your way up. So just kind of how was the journey from start to finish that ended up giving you this podium finish?
Yeah, just a good car. And like I said, if we would have had a reset there, I think, Mike could have got in there and been more closer to Boyd and Max. But like I said, those boys are really good at what they do. And the car was good, and it was fun. And I will say, Rocket Racing Setups, I know this was a battle between two different setup people on the internet, which is kind of cool. But Rocket Racing Setups with Richard and David Lamb. David builds awesome short track sets for the service, and if guys are looking at, that are wanting to run good and open setup stuff and a good setup to go with, David's stuff is really, really good, and it's a great service that they provide. Good setups every week.
That's great. I was gonna ask, do you have anybody to thank for your third place run? But I love the little preaching there for Rocket. But do you have anybody else to thank?
Just everybody over at Legacy Esports. I've been with the team for about 5 months now, and really, I typically run mostly open stuff with Boyd and look at setups and stuff like that for the guys, and try to help hone in on some stuff with Boyd at times. And I just do it for fun, and I enjoy it. And we got a great group of guys. We got a great team, and we win a lot of races and have fun doing it.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on your third place finish tonight at Richmond. It was a blast.
Appreciate you putting on the show.
Yes, sir. And that was third place finisher Cale Gale. Next up, we're joined with the Rocket Setup Shop owner, Mr. Richard Mortaugh, and he's along with Trey there. He finished 5th tonight.
Richard Mortaugh Jr., do you have a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, thanks for joining us, Richard. So, Miss Q in qualifying put you 11th place on the grid to start the race. What was your strategy or thought process going forward over the next 150 laps to get you a 5th place finish?
There really wasn't a strategy at all. I'm a dirt guy. I didn't plan on running this until about 3 hours ago or so, and I barely put any practice in because I was working. So I got off work and jumped right on, and I was just running laps. Ended up getting the setup from Boyd. So I put a lot of laps in the session and on the setup, but I just toasted the tires in qualifying, missed the corner, slid, and just completely messed up qualifying. And then the race it was kind of just save tires and don't go a lap down too early. So I managed to make it past halfway before they lapped me.
No, starting as far back as you did, I think that's pretty respectable. So obviously enough, you sweep the top 5 spots in this, absolute battle between Maconi Setup Shop and, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, Rocket Racing Setups. How does it feel to sweep the top 5 here?
That's pretty awesome. I was hoping to get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 finish, but Sam, I think his name is, lagged out. So it sucks, but it's pretty awesome to be able to race against Mcconey, his guys, and just pretty much compare setup shops and stuff to see which one's better. And after today, I'm a whole lot confident in Boyd and the Cup stuff that setup was on rails.
No, definitely a pretty good advertising pitch out there, I would say, with the pace you guys had. So you did say that you didn't get too much time to actually fool around with the car and the setup and the track combination, but did you mess around with the car during your only pit stop today?
No, I didn't make any adjustments actually. I'm full-blown dirt guy. This was my only Cup race in 2 years, so I jumped in this with barely, I think, like only 100 laps of practice total in 2 years. So I just came out and I was just here to have fun because I know we didn't have our full 6 drivers. We actually started today with only 3 drivers, and then we ended up finding 3 more. And like literally last second, Kale joined Discord with 2 minutes left in qualifying, so Kale jumped right in immediately. So we got lucky. We got 6.
It made the show a whole lot better, I'd say. Anyone you want to thank out there?
Yeah, I'd like to start out with thanking Rocket Racing Setups. Always fun running setups, no matter if it's dirt road, rallycross, or anything pretty much. We're doing it all, so be able to run whatever and have setups that are competitive is a plus. Reliable Energy Solutions, Flood Drive Properties, RMR Racing, Next Level Racing Simulators, Payne and Americas, Gross Designs, MyDirtBox.com, Jeff, all of his guys for putting this on, you guys for broadcasting. It's always fun going back and watching these races after it's done and over with.
Yep, hope we get put on a good show. Thanks again, Richard. And that's Richard Murtaugh. He claims a 5th place finish here tonight, and the Maconi Setup Shop versus Rocket Racing Setup Shop showdown here at Richmond Raceway.
Right on, and we have one more interview today. We're joined with our 7th place finisher, Mr. Jeffrey Mcconey. And Jeff, was this the result you expected out of today?
Man, I'll tell you what, we took some swings at the setup, and it did not go our way. We had been practicing around a 111 track temp, and then we got in there, and it was 100, and we sort of went, oh. And we made some adjustments. It didn't work out quite like we had hoped, but hey, we knew going in it was some steep competition. Boyd is one of the best setup builders out there. He does a really great job, and there's no denying it. And we knew going in it was going to be a fun night, and I think we all did end up having fun at the end. So you win some, you lose some. It's life. Honestly, when you look at the end of the day, some people love Rocket, some people love Mcconey, some people try both and want to go a different route. We were just out there having fun, putting on a show, and it was a good time. But yeah, definitely congrats to the winner. And next time we do this, because there will be more times, we'll hit it a little better than we did tonight. But
right on, we'll be hoping so. We saw a lot of your guys slipping and sliding today. You think that was part of the setup, or just the difficulty of this track, and or them just having fun?
A little bit of both, or a little bit of all three, I should say. When we saw that the track temp was going to be cooler, we compensated by loosening the car up, and that's what really, really hurt us. Is when we loosened the car, we found that the back end was sliding, but just the front end all of a sudden wouldn't move. And we struggled a lot. All of our guys had made different tweaks of their own. And so I think Tyler nailed it the best, and I was right there in how close I was to him. But yeah, they definitely had it a little bit on the looser end, so we ended up sliding around quite a bit. Like I said, when we were practicing and all of a sudden it's 10 degrees cooler, we just overcompensated and made the car too loose.
Oh man, one of the best points in the broadcast, I think, was the 2 setup shop owners battling it out. You and Richard had an insane battle there in that first stint. Can you kind of talk about that? How much fun was it?
Oh, that was a lot of fun right there. I remember getting on the mic at that point and telling him, Rich, I'm not giving up 7th place that easily. And we were back and forth and crossing each other over, but that was a lot of fun. That was the 2 of us having a lot of fun out there. He and I, we know each other well. We talk a lot. So being able to finally race one-on-one and sort of have that battle there was definitely a lot of fun. Killed my tires, but it was definitely a lot of fun running with them there. I enjoyed it a lot.
Right on. Well, do you have anybody to thank for your guys coming out tonight and putting on a performance?
Well, definitely all the drivers that we had out there that came out and ran with us, Rocket Racing, for helping us put this event on. You know, we're only half the battle. They did just as much work on their end as well. It was a lot of fun. Of course, we got to thank all of our sponsors as well over at the Maconi Setup Shop. We've partnered with quite a few of them, but thinking off the top of my head from the top, you have Anthony Alfredo Racing, who helps us out a lot, gives us a lot of good feedback. The Balled Up Podcast, Dan Butler Designs, Dave Cameron over on YouTube is a big help. The Global Sim Racing channel works with us a lot. Midwest Motor Customs, Rent a Race Car, which is a great group of, if you're up at Stafford Speedway, you got to get behind the wheel of one of their cars. And then as well as Connor Crichton with XMcFly78X on Twitch. He was here running with us tonight. I got to thank all of those guys, but Tyler as well for jumping in, Greg Mcconey, Kenny Zeems, everyone that was involved in this event tonight was a huge help. And thank you to you guys for broadcasting it. It was a lot of fun.
Right on. Well, it was great talking to you. It was a fun show tonight. Yeah, thanks for having us here and putting this on. It was a blast. But that's Jeff Mcconey, owner of Maconi Setup Shop, finishing 7th tonight. And yeah, I think it was just a wild night tonight at Richmond. And I can't stop thinking about that battle.
It was certainly a good one this evening, or this afternoon rather, at Richmond Raceway. We're very glad, very fortunate, very thankful to have been here for this 150-lap contest. Certainly in this one, Rocket Racing Setups coming out on top, fielding the entire top 5, and I think Sam King would have been right there with them when it all came down to it. Before we end things off this evening, of course, we want to look to our race results. We talked to 5 of those guys, the entire top 3, as well as 5th and 7th. So you've got Max Cookson, Boyd Hogan, Cale Gale. We talked to all of them. David Lamb did hang on to the lead lap. Murtaugh only went 1 lap down in 5th there, Emerson. Tyler Payne, the first of the Mcconey drivers, 2 laps down in 6th spot.
Yeah, behind him, it was Jeff Mcconey in P7, followed by Greg Mcconey, P8. He was 6 laps down. Connor Crichton, I believe, lost connection or something. He came back into the session. He did actually finish the race on track, but he finished 32 laps down. Sam King, man, I was really interested to see how his strategy was going to play out, but lagging out at lap 94 has him finishing 10th position, 57 laps down. And then towards the back end of the field, we have both of the Zeems, Kenny and Ken Zeems, 86 and 91 laps down, respectively.
And then that will conclude our coverage tonight of the Maconi Setup Shop versus Rocket Racing Setups at Richmond Raceway. We have Pit Stop TV. Thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Be sure to join us again Wednesday evening as the Bluegrass iRacing Series heads to the heartland of American motorsport, racing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Make sure to follow us over on Facebook at www.facebook.com/pitstoptv, over on Twitter at pitstoptv_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, and on YouTube by searching Pit Stop TV. For all of us here at Pit Stop TV, Emerson Ardong alongside me on the mic, Trey Shuttlesworth on social media, I am Andrew Cardinale IV. We will see you next time. Have a great night.
At Maconi Setup Shop, we offer custom-built setups for any asphalt oval car. Prices starting at just $5. Weekly setups available for all Legends, late models, modifieds, and NASCAR trucks, Xfinity, and Cup cars. Do you need one-on-one driver coaching? We've got you covered. Visit www.McConeySetupShop.com and find yourself in Victory Lane. Maconi Setup Shop, handling all your setup needs so you don't have to.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.